During the first 200 years of the Second Temple period, the Jewish people experienced a relatively peaceful and prosperous era. Although they were under the sphere of influence of the Persian Empire, the tolerant Persian rulers allowed them a high degree of autonomy. During this time, Jewish identity and religious thought underwent significant development. In particular, the system of religious law became increasingly refined, exerting a profound influence on personal life and social order among the Jews. The Jews in Palestine maintained close academic, political, and cultural ties with those who remained in Babylon, forming two major centers of Jewish life. The coming of Hellenization. In 331 BCE, Alexander the Great, king of Macedonia, defeated the Persian Empire and conquered the entire southeastern Mediterranean region, including Iraq, Palestine, and Egypt. From that moment, Jewish history entered the Hellenistic age. Greek rule was generally tolerant. They allowed the Jews to keep their religion and culture, and encouraged them to engage in trade across Europe, Asia, and Africa. Many Jews therefore migrated to Greece, Syria, and especially the city of Alexandria in Egypt. However, the powerful influence of Greek culture deeply penetrated Jewish society. The Greek language, Greek philosophy, and Greek customs were gradually adopted by many Jews, and some even began using Greek names. Jews living outside Palestine eventually spoke only Greek in daily life, while Hebrew gradually declined into a purely religious language. During this period, 70 Jewish scholars in Alexandria translated the Hebrew scriptures into Greek. This translation, the Septuagint, had a profound impact on the spread of Jewish religious thought, the Maccabean Revolt, and a brief restoration of independence. As time went on, the Seleucid Empire, which controlled Palestine, became increasingly repressive. They began implementing harsh ethnic and religious persecution against the Jews. They even decreed that Jews could not possess Hebrew scriptures. Violations were punishable by death. These oppressive measures eventually triggered a full-scale revolt. Under the leadership of Judah the Maccabee of the Hasmonean family, the Jews rose up, ultimately overthrowing the Seleucid regime and establishing the independent Hasmonean kingdom. This marked a brief restoration of Jewish independence. After the fall of the ancient kingdoms of Israel and Judah, the rise of Rome and the subjugation of the Jews, once again the decline of Greece coincided with the rise of Rome. The Maccabean kingdom survived for only about a century, before being conquered by Rome. In 63 BCE, the Roman general Pompey marched on Jerusalem. After a 3-month siege, the city fell. More than 10,000 Jews were killed, and large numbers were enslaved. Palestine then became a Roman province. The Jewish population grew rapidly at this time. According to the historian Strabo, there was hardly any civilized land in the world where Jews were not found. Roughly 1/10 of the Roman Empire's population, about 7 million, was Jewish. Jewish communities were scattered widely, from Palestine, Syria, and Egypt, to North Africa, Greece, and Italy. Judaism also attracted many converts, further contributing to population growth. Roman oppression and the Jewish wars. Roman rule was far harsher than that of the Greeks. They appointed Herod as king over Palestine. Herod was cruel and tyrannical, but he engaged in large-scale construction, including expanding the temple. After his death, Rome imposed direct rule. Heavy taxes and religious discrimination heightened tensions. Rome even attempted to place a statue of the emperor inside the temple, abandoning the plan only after strong Jewish resistance. In 66 CE, the Roman governor attempted to seize the treasures of the temple. Jews resisted with their bare bodies, but many were slaughtered by Roman soldiers, and the temple steps were stained with blood. This outrage ignited a full-scale revolt, known in history as the First Jewish War. The revolt swept across Palestine. Rome mobilized tens of thousands of troops, capturing Galilee and Samaria, before finally laying siege to Jerusalem. In 70 CE, Under the command of Titus, Roman forces captured Jerusalem, and the temple was burned to the ground. Countless Jews were killed, bodies littered the streets, and blood flowed everywhere. Josephus, a Jewish commander who was captured and later surrendered, recorded this tragedy in his work The Jewish War. The tragedy of Masada. After Jerusalem fell, some rebels retreated to the fortress of Masada near the Dead Sea. Its natural defensive position allowed them to hold out for 2 years. When the Romans finally breached the fortress in 73 CE, they found that 960 Jews had chosen mass death over surrender, with only 2 women and 5 children surviving. To avoid violating Jewish law, which forbade suicide, they drew lots to kill one another. Masada thus became a symbol of Jewish courage and unbroken spirit. To this day, Israeli soldiers take an oath there: Masada shall not fall again. The Kokhba Revolt, an even greater tragedy. Roman brutality did not end the resistance. In 115 CE and again in 132 CE, the Jews rebelled. The second revolt, led by Bar Kokhba, was the fiercest. The rebels even recaptured Jerusalem for a time. But after 3 years, the Romans crushed the uprising. Bar Kokhba was killed. Emperor Hadrian believed that Judaism itself was the source of unrest and banned the Sabbath, circumcision, and all Jewish practices. Violations were punishable by death. Jerusalem was completely destroyed, and the land was plowed over. Across the 3 major revolts, more than 1 million Jews were killed. Hundreds of thousands were enslaved or forced into gladiatorial combat, while many others fled into exile across the world. The Jewish population dropped from 7 million in the 1st century to fewer than 2 million by the 3rd century. The Western Wall, a stone of unbroken faith. Although the temple was destroyed, the Jews never abandoned their reverence for its site. Under cover of night, believers risked their lives to pray among the ruins. Later, a wall was built upon the surviving foundation stones on the western side of the temple platform, today known as the Western Wall or the Wailing Wall. Since ancient times, on the 9th day of the Jewish month of Av, Jews gather there to mourn the destruction of the temple. The wall is 48 meters long and 18 meters high, constructed of 18 rows of enormous stones, without any adhesive, yet it has stood for nearly 2,000 years. It has become the most sacred symbol of the Jewish people, representing their faith, suffering, and enduring resilience.